Sales Development Rep Outsourcing, AI Impact. Why SDR outsourcing is changing faster than your pipeline goals. If you lead B2B growth today, you're being asked to create more pipeline without adding headcount, while your team is buried in research, follow-ups, and admin. At the same time, every sales agency in your inbox is pitching an AI SDR that supposedly replaces humans overnight. The reality sits in the middle. SDR outsourcing is still a people business, but AI is now the operating system that determines speed, quality, and cost. Two trends are colliding. The global market for outsourced sales services is expanding as companies choose sales outsourcing and outsourced sales team models to avoid the hiring and ramp time tax, with some forecasts projecting growth from roughly $2.7 billion in 2024 to $6 billion plus by 2033. At the same time, AI adoption inside sales teams has moved from experiment to default, with 43% of sales professionals reporting they use AI at work, up from 24% in 2023. For a modern SDR agency, that combination changes what good looks like. Buyers expect relevance, leadership teams expect efficiency, and inboxes punish generic outreach more every quarter. The best partners now run human-led, AI-assisted systems where reps own judgment and conversations, and AI handles the non-selling work that used to slow everything down. What you're really outsourcing, and why the old model breaks. When teams say they want to outsource sales development, they usually mean outsourcing the top-of-funnel engine, list-building services, cold email agency execution, a cold calling team, LinkedIn outreach services, qualification, and meeting booking. Some providers stop at appointment setting, while stronger outbound sales agency partners can help define ICP, build messaging, manage deliverability, and report performance with real accountability. Either way, you're outsourcing time, tools, and process, not just extra hands. The biggest driver is productivity leakage. A widely cited analysis shows sellers spend only about 35% of their time actually selling, with the rest lost to research, data entry, internal meetings, and CRM hygiene. That's why cold calling services and outbound programs often underperform in-house. You're paying full-time wages for part-time selling capacity. Outsourcing can fix this, but only if the provider is built for today's buyer environment. If a B2B sales agency is still running manual research and generic templates, you're buying yesterday's output at today's costs. In 2025, the question isn't, should we outsource? It's, are we outsourcing into an AI-enabled system that improves targeting and relevance? How AI changes the SDR workflow and the benchmarks you should use. AI already fits naturally into SDR work because so much of the job is pattern-based and repetitive. It's strong at prospect enrichment, segmentation, first draft personalization, follow-up drafting, and summarizing calls into clean CRM notes. Across the broader lead gen ecosystem, estimates suggest roughly 41% of sales teams use machine learning to qualify or score leads before a human ever reaches out, which directly reduces manual triage work. The pressure point is outreach performance. Average B2B cold email reply rates reportedly declined from 6.8% in 2023 to 5.8% in 2024, which means more volume without better targeting usually backfires. AI doesn't fix weak offers or bad lists, but it can make a good list far more productive by scaling research-driven personalization and helping reps prioritize the right accounts at the right time. When we help teams benchmark SDR outsourcing, we push for outcome metrics tied to real baselines rather than vanity activity. A provider should commit to targets by segment, ICP, channel, and volume, and explain exactly how AI is expected to move those numbers, not just claim we use AI. Design a hybrid model before you hire an SDR agency. The fastest way to fail with sales rep agency partners is to outsource first and define the operating model later. Before you sign anything, we recommend auditing your current SDR workload and separating high automation, low-risk tasks, research, enrichment, data cleanup, first draft follow-ups, from work that requires human judgment, account strategy, qualification nuance, multi-threaded buying groups. This is how you protect buyer experience while still getting the efficiency that AI and outsourcing can deliver. Next, draw a clean line between what stays in-house and what the outsourced team owns. Many teams keep strategic accounts, enterprise motion, or key regions internal, while outsourcing SMB or velocity segments, reactivation, inbound triage, or international coverage. If you want a cold calling agency to perform like an extension of your team, you need rules of engagement for territories, handoffs to AEs, and how meetings are qualified before they hit calendars. Finally, tighten your data and compliance posture up front. Document what data external SDRs and AI tools can access, where it's stored, and what no-go looks like for sensitive fields. Then require DPAs and governance alignment. This step feels slow, but it prevents the most expensive mistake in outsourced B2B sales: losing control of your data, domains, and brand voice. AI should remove busywork and increase relevance, not replace judgment, relationships, and the discipline of a real outbound strategy. How to evaluate AI maturity in cold calling companies and outsourced SDR teams. Most vendors can demo an AI writer. Far fewer can show an AI workflow that consistently books meetings. When you evaluate a sales development agency, ask to see their end-to-end process, how they source data, how they validate deliverability, how prompts are governed, and what human QA exists before messages go live. If they can't explain where AI is used, where it isn't, and why, you're looking at marketing, not an operating system. Tech stack matters, but integration matters more. A strong provider should plug into your CRM, manage multi-channel execution, email, B2B cold calling, and social touches, and provide reporting that ties activity to outcomes. For phone-heavy motions, verify they have call recording, coaching workflows, and the ability to iterate talk tracks quickly, because cold callers only improve when feedback is fast and specific. Cost should be evaluated as a fully loaded comparison, not a line item. US SDR compensation is often quoted in the $53,000 to $75,000 range before benefits and tooling, and real in-house costs rise with ramp, turnover, and management overhead. With sales outsourcing, you're typically buying a bundled system: trained reps, data, dialers, and AI. So your goal is to validate unit economics through meetings that show up and opportunities that convert. Common mistakes that make AI-powered outreach feel spammy. The most common AI mistake is scaling bad targeting. AI can personalize a message, but it can't make a non-ICP account care, and it definitely can't rescue a list that was scraped without intent. If you're using a cold email agency or telemarketing style approach, the quickest way to damage your brand is to push volume before you've proven fit and relevance. The second mistake is removing humans from quality control. Buyers can spot unedited AI patterns, vague compliments, mismatched pain points, and personalization that doesn't connect to a real business reason. The fix is simple and operational. Require human review of new prompts and templates, start with small test batches, and watch positive replies versus negative replies as closely as total replies. The third mistake is ignoring infrastructure and governance. Domain reputation, compliance, and CRM hygiene determine whether your outbound program compounds or collapses. If a provider can't explain deliverability practices, opt-out handling, and how they store and retain your data, you're not hiring SDRs, you're inheriting risk. Best practices for a human-led, AI-assisted outbound engine. Treat AI as leverage that increases the amount of high-quality work each rep can produce, not as a substitute for sales leadership. The best results come when humans own ICP decisions, messaging angles, and live conversations, while AI accelerates research, drafts personalization, and keeps follow-ups from slipping. This is how an outsourced sales team becomes a force multiplier instead of a disconnected appointment-setting function. Build a weekly review rhythm with your provider that covers prompts, sequences, call recordings, and performance dashboards. Weekly is important because small deliverability issues, weak segments, or bad personalization patterns compound quickly at scale. In practice, this cadence is where you blacklist bad accounts, refine the offer, and feed winning patterns back into both the human reps and the AI system. Run controlled experiments, not random changes. Pilot AI personalized email on 1 or 2 ICP slices and compare it against your current copy with clean measurement. Then expand what works. At SalesHive, we've seen the biggest lifts when teams combine AI-driven personalization with human editing and tight targeting, especially in noisy categories where generic outreach gets ignored. What to expect next? Practical AI, fewer promises, and smarter buying decisions. AI will keep improving, but AI-only SDR narratives are already being corrected by reality. Gartner has warned that more than 40% of agentic AI projects could be scrapped by 2027, often because the value is unclear or the operational costs are underestimated. For sales leaders, that's a signal to buy systems you can govern and measure, not black boxes that claim to replace your entire top of funnel. Timelines matter too. Even with great automation, you still need time to dial in ICP, train messaging on real responses, and stabilize deliverability. Most teams see meaningful signal in 30 to 60 days and full ramp around 90 days when the program is run with discipline. Providers promising instant results without iteration are usually skipping the learning curve, and you'll pay for it later in reputation and wasted spend. If you're evaluating a B2B sales outsourcing partner in 2025, prioritize transparency and integration over flashy demos. Ask for clear benchmarks, a documented AI workflow, and evidence they can run both cold call services and email without sacrificing quality. When you get that right, outsourcing becomes a predictable pipeline lever, and AI becomes the multiplier that keeps your team ahead of the noise.